The Isaiah Factor Uncensored starts right now.
Welcome and thank you for joining us for The Factor Uncensored. Many people can relate to delaying a trip to the restroom. They may be busy or not feel it's urgent at the moment. But according to experts, that habit can lead to some serious consequences for your health. My next guest explains. And joining us on The Factor Uncensored, we have Dr. Danish Ali from Archpoint Pain Institute. Dr. Ali, I never knew that this could be a problem. Everyone goes through it. When you may have to go to the restroom, you may have to, as they say, pee, urinate, however you want to say it. And many times you hold it. But now we're hearing that could put your health at risk. It's dangerous to hold your pee.
That's correct, Isaiah. So at a certain point, when you are filling your bladder with urine, it sends a signal to your brain that says, hey, there's a certain amount of volume that's in the bladder that needs to be emptied. And what happens is that if you overload that bladder, it causes distension of that bladder, and that distension and that urine that's there can go up into the ureters and go into your kidneys, and they can cause a kidney infection.
That's just mind-blowing, something that none of us ever think about.
That's correct, Isaiah. And the other thing is you can get a urinary tract infection as well. The more the urine that hangs out in the bladder, what happens is that increases your risk for a urine tract infection as well. That's why we say every 4 to 8 hours, at least a minimum, you want to try to urinate and get out the urine that's in your bladder. So that way you decrease your chances of developing urinary tract infections, and also medicate or the infection traveling up to your kidneys that can cause kidney infection called pyelonephritis, or an inflammation of the kidneys as a result of the infection in the bladder urine that gets backed up.
So does this happen, say, if you hold your bladder, or you don't urinate, say, for one day, not a full day, but in that time period? Or are we talking about over an extended period of time of constantly doing this? Or
Yes.
is it one time that could make the difference?
I mean, it may, but moreover, we see that it's more commonly seen in the instances where you do it recurrently. So those folks that hold their urine for a long period of time and do it on a repetitive motion or repetitive days, versus those that just hold it. They've got a busy meeting and they can't leave, or they've been busy traveling or working throughout the day and haven't done it for a specific day. Those folks are a lot less likely to get the infection. But those folks who consistently do it, or are consistently in a area or in a point of their life or work or whatnot, that they're not able to go empty it, those are the folks that are higher risk for developing these infections. Number one. Number two, Isaiah, the other thing is folks that have other medical condition like diabetes, for example. We know that the nerves in your body get affected as a result of the diabetes, and what we call specifically neuropathy, or nerve damage that results from the diabetes. That can also cause those nerves that are in your bladder that aren't giving the appropriate signals to not be communicating as effectively. And if you're not consistently emptying your bladder, then you are at higher risk to develop these infections in your bladder as well as in your kidneys.
I think this is an important report for employers and teachers who in some instances and sometimes keep their employees from going to the bathroom, or keep their students from going to the bathroom, just saying, hold it. And you don't realize just how serious this could be to someone.
That's correct. And the other thing is, Isaiah, and this is a great point that you brought up, sir, is that these kids are actually, they have smaller bladder sizes versus the elders. And so, yes, they have to go more often. And so we do have to be mindful of that, as their bladders are obviously not fully developed, and some of those nerves are still developing in terms of what they're doing. And so I agree with you. It's very important to be mindful mindful of who you're talking to. It's the kids for sure, and then also the elderly population, those that are in senior care living facilities or even in what we call like long-term acute care facilities, because those folks also have other medical conditions, and so they're at higher risk to develop urine infections and kidney infections. And so that's why we need to make sure that they're emptying out their bladders regularly, otherwise they are at a higher risk to develop infections. And again, these infections can turn into what we call sepsis if it's not treated, and where we develop multiple organs that don't work and function like they should as a result of these infections. And Isaiah, unfortunately, I'll tell you, we see this quite commonly in the hospital system, where folks that have had a urinary tract infection hasn't been treated appropriately, accurately, and it develops into kidney issues or even organ dysfunction where the organs stop working, and those folks have higher risk of complications as a result of that.
Incredible. So, on your advice, we should go to the restroom at least 4 to 8 hours consistently during the day. All right, Dr. Dalish Ali, important information there. We appreciate your time here on The Factor tonight. Still ahead here on The Factor tonight, questions and concerns into drone sightings across America. We talk about it next here on The Factor.